day of learning in lockdown matters.
Make a difference. Give a laptop. On BBC Radio Devon.
8:23 the time now. Sadly, this pandemic has seen a rise in people losing their jobs and their homes. The YMCA in Exeter says it's hitting young people particularly hard. Over 350 local young people waiting for one-bed accommodation in the city. I'll be chatting with the Joint Chief Executive about their plan to help more affordable housing in the city later become available. But first, have a listen to 25-year-old Jackson. This is a story. He was housed by the charity after he lost his home and job during the first lockdown and ended up living in a tent pitched up outside his clinically vulnerable dad's house for several months.
When the first initial scare of the coronavirus came about, he was quite scared to go to the shop, and everything was everybody was getting quite paranoid. So I ended up going back to Honiton, where I'm originally from, and setting up a tent outside his flat so I could do his shopping and just make sure he was all right, basically. And yeah, it was a weird time. It was a very weird time.
So how long were you living in a tent?
I wasn't actually counting, believe it or not, but it was around about 8 weeks, so about 2 months, maybe a little bit longer. Towards the end, I was on the phone most of the day. Luckily enough, I was lucky enough to have my dad. He hung a really long extension lead out of his kitchen window so I could charge my phone, and I had a laptop in the tent. So I did have some luxuries.
You had a job. You had a stable life, a partner and a house. Could you have ever imagined being in the situation that you found yourself in?
Definitely not. I've been in full-time work ever since I left school in 2011. And, I've been through rough patches. Everybody goes through hard times. But I think with the arrival of the coronavirus and all these lockdown restrictions, it was just, I needed help, and I just held my hands up. I needed it, and it was there, and I'm just so glad and thankful. Big up the YMCA, big up the Amber Foundation.
Yeah, and on top of that, you've had the pandemic and lockdown that's affected your search for work, I imagine.
Massively. Well, this is what put me in the position in the first place. I stopped working for myself just before the lockdown, and I was starting to do some agency work, but as soon as it first hit, literally all the work dried up. No construction sites were open, nothing really. It was back in March, it was like an absolute nightmare. Remember, there were hundreds of thousands of applications for Tesco's and supermarkets and stuff like that. It was a real free-for-all at one point.
And how are you feeling about the future? What are your plans?
Well, I have been fairly productive through the pandemic. I'm trying to better myself. I'm going to go to university at the end of the year. And I've just got a job as a key worker at a care home in Taunton as a maintenance manager. So yeah, things are looking forward. I'm looking to move out of the YMCA fairly soon, and again, I just want to thank them for everything that they've done for me. They really helped me out in my time of need, and things are looking up.
That's Jackson talking with BBC Radio Devon's Jenny Coomer. Let's hear from the Chief Executive of the YMCA in Exeter, Cy Johns. Good to hear a positive to end that story with Jackson, wasn't it?
It's fantastic, isn't it? And just really pleased for Jackson that things turned around quite so quickly. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer for people's lives to get turned around once they've got a short foot in, but it's brilliant that Jackson's managed to do it in such a short period of time.
I'm going to say something really controversial now, Cy, and I'm sorry I'm going to say this, but I'm going to say it. Because this is what a lot of people think. Oh, they're ended up at the YMCA. They must be down and outs. They must be drunks. They must be druggies. You listen to Jackson, level-headed young gentleman, got his desires in life, got his aims, and he's getting on with it, and he's achieving. He's getting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you say the word homeless, you get a certain picture of a certain person in your mind, don't you? And that's an unhelpful connotation, I think. when you think about it, actually statistically, the most common cause of homelessness in the country right now is people losing their assured short house tenancies in the private letting sector. That's the major cause of homelessness. It's not drinking or any of those other issues that kind of jump to mind. So
it happens. I'm not, I'm being realistic. Of course, it happens with some people. Of course, it does. We know that.
But we always think that we're really far away from being homeless, aren't we? But as Jackson's story sort of shows, we're only ever, a couple of crises away from that happening to us.
Yeah. The thing that frightens me, and I mentioned this just now, Si, 350 people looking for accommodation. That's just Exeter. 350. How do you try and accommodate as many as you can?
No, that's right, and that's 350 young people, so that's generally under the age of 25, desperately seeking one-bed accommodation, and that is the crisis, really, that's in Exeter, across Devon. That's the 61% of the housing need on the Devon Home Choice Register is for one-bed accommodation, and so it's really, really important that, as a city and as a county, we really address this by trying to build more, and that's what we're doing right now.
I know you've done the big sleep before, and I remember it was freezing when you did it, wasn't it? It really was. I can tell by your reaction. Yeah, you remember it well. I'm wondering if you've got any other fundraisers on the go, because it's ongoing, Si, isn't it? You keep needing funds to survive.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Gordon. Yeah, so as you know, we are just in the development of this block of 26 new studio flats for local young people. That's been built in the centre of Exeter, and so we are fundraising for that. We've got an established 2022.org.uk website set up to try and help us fund that. But this week in half term, if there's any families out there or anyone fancies joining us, we can't do a sleep out, but we are going to do a sleep in. So we're having a kind of virtual sleepover. You can join us by logging onto our website and signing up. And it's just going to be a bit of fun, really, having a virtual sleepover. Sleep anywhere in your house, just not in your bed.
Do you know, I think also that is another way. We've heard of a few this morning. We're always getting ideas, Si, aren't we, about how to connect with people, improve our mental health, talking to different people. And this is an opportunity. Meeting different people in these weird times, that's a big thing, isn't it?
It is, yeah. We've got to keep those connections up, haven't we? We're so separated at the moment, and we know just how desperate isolation can be, on our mental health, and we're not seeing people like we normally do. So actually, this is a really good opportunity to kind of link up with lots of other people like-minded, and have a bit of fun for an evening. So that'll be on Friday of half term, the 19th.
If people want to find out more, what's the easiest way of doing that, please?
Yeah, jump on our website. We're a local charity, so it's ymcaexeter.org.uk, and you'll find us there from the homepage.
Thanks for all the information. Thanks for your work. And let's hope that there are more Jacksons leaving the YMCA and getting on that ladder of life.
Yeah, that's certainly the aim.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Thanks for the time this morning, Gordon.
You're more than welcome. Good to hear from you. Si Johns, the Chief Executive of the YMCA in Exeter.
BBC Radio Devon.
Update.
Hi, I'm James with your Thursday News Roundup from BBC Radio Devon. The BBC